I'll just keep my mouse on the note screen.
I'm tired.
What?
Can you intro this?
I can, yeah. You stinker. You stinker.
I don't know if it's the medication I'm on. I'm just.
I think that's a pretty good intro. I think that's a good one. All right.
Oh gosh.
So sad that I gotta talk about my team.
We picked a great time to start a podcast about two of the worst hockey teams in the NHL.
Yes. All right, and on that note, let's start, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome your faces to another stinking podcast where I have to cry about my team. Cakes gets to cry about his team, and all we do is just stinking cry because that's all I want to do. Good thing, though, it's snowing outside.
It's not snowing outside right now.
Shut up.
But we're across the country from each other.
Yes, I know. Already the toxicity is boiling out, and I have no plan to be toxic for very long in this one. Well, welcome yourself to the Unhealthy Scratches. By the way, if you don't know, I'm Matt. There's Nick way over there in left field. On the screen, technically, for me, it's very left, or very right, actually. I'm very left. I'm very sad. This is what it is.
We're all
welcome
sad.
to the Unhealthy Scratches, though. This is podcast number 2. We've made it past the first one. I don't know how we've made it this far. It's been so long in the making. Not really. But yes, it is snowing outside, and that is legitimately one of the only cheery things going on in hockey life right now is the fact that snow does exist. Everything else in hockey life for me is absolutely abysmal, and I'm sad. Except for like 2 or 3 things, and that's about it.
It's just singular players for really both of us.
Yep, singular. Like, I have 10 fingers. Let's pretend I lost 1, so I only have 5, and I lost 2 fingers, and that still is too many numbers. Okay, well,
yeah.
that's how bad it is. All right. Well, why don't we dive right in and get started? We don't really have what?
Did you want to start with Habs or Vancouver?
I mean, you started the last one, and since you said you're tired, I'll start with the beginning, and hopefully my anger, my sadness, and my rage
will boil over to a 40-minute rant.
No, we'll boil over so that'll give you the strength to laugh about me the entire time that I have to go through this. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
This is... I feel like this hockey team is just a sad relationship at this point. It's just a sad relationship. It's just not going to work out. And you try with all your might to have faith that something is going to happen for the good, but it won't happen. All right, let's start off with my team. Well, I could start off with the positives before I really get the negatives. This team is having a rough one, obviously. The Canucks are just having a rough one right now.
Especially seeing that they haven't won a single game since the last podcast was recorded.
They haven't won a single game since, and before the last podcast, if I'm correct, they also lost another one. Their last win was against Dallas, which was on Sunday the 7th, and we started this podcast not then.
Then after that.
Well, we recorded that Thursday before the first Colorado game, which was
the 11th,
the most abysmal game that there was out there. The 11th, and then obviously posted on the 13th, 14th, whatever you want to call it. It was 13 for me, technically. Not really. We scheduled it. We're really consistent with this. But my team has not won a game whatsoever, and there are some silver linings. I mean, there's a couple players that have kind of popped up. One in specific that I want to talk about that's kind of popped up out of nowhere almost, and that would be Hoglander.
Yeah.
What? That was pretty sick to see that this guy, I know during our Vegas loss, it was just disheartening, especially while I was paying attention and it was actually a close game. That's what was sad. It was a very close game, that game, but Hoglander popped 2 in. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that guy, because he's not a first or a second liner for that matter, he's not the guy that you're gonna look for to get goals. And he has gotten 4 out of his 5 this past week. Like, he's doing work. And obviously you got JT Miller doing his work, Quinn Hughes, and Demko, that's just still phenomenal. I would like to mention one nice goal that the Canucks had, and I haven't seen it since, but the no-look pass, if you've seen it, the no-look pass was pretty sick. And I only can mention that because that is one of my only highlights. Obviously, Demko saves will be there, and there's another topic we'll get into later. That'll be after this. I can't touch that rant, but that hopefully won't be as much of a rant as it just is a slap in the face for all Canucks fans.
Exactly.
In general, but Demko had a nice one save too. And I know I have to say my couple because the Canadians do have a lot of good ones this week. They had some good highlights this week, didn't they? The Canadians
did. It was just not when it mattered.
Yes. Listen, you can't complain. You have a win.
A singular win.
Listen, out of all of the playing this season, and I know it's so sad. Remember last week we mentioned how it's only 13, 14 games in, how we shouldn't worry. Yeah. And I also mentioned that if they lose the next game that they did, I mentioned in the podcast, I think I might have mentioned it off camera, I forget now, but I mentioned how I'm worried, but if they lose the next game, I'm really worried because Colorado was missing some players.
Yeah.
And then they had their absolute worst game probably.
Yeah.
Not worst game wise of how they played, but worst game as in that's how bad they lost by. The margin of loss was the worst. Yeah. And it never got that bad again. So hello. I'm worried. I'm very worried. We're on a 5-game loss streak. I'm trying to find how to word anything. I feel it. It's kind of funny. I'm not mad at the team. I'm gonna be honest about it. Last week I was quite upset, and I showed a little bit of it, but I'm not as upset as I am just sad. That's just honestly what it is. I'm not even disappointed at this point. I just feel numb to the fact that nothing is working out for our team. In almost every game, we started the game winning and would just lose at the ending.
I'm going to pull up their schedule just to put it in perspective for the scores that have happened. Yesterday, the Avalanche beat the Canucks 4-2. That's not terrible.
They were winning that game at one point, by the way. Not for the majority. Yep. I will say Colorado was up. Colorado was up 1-0.
Woo!
I can't talk. I need coffee.
The game before that Sunday, the Ducks beat the Canucks 5-1. That's a lot.
And they were winning. Hoglander had the only goal. That was a lot worse. Hopefully, it doesn't get any worse. The game before
that, these are where they get really dicey. The game before that,
Vegas won. I would like to interject after you say what the score was.
7-4.
7-4. It was 4-4 nearing the end of the third, and Vegas got 3 goals in what was it, less than 10 minutes or something like that?
It's really I blinked. I was oh my.
And the last goal, we don't need to talk about.
If you want to know about that goal, just watch Steve's Dang It's on the Sportsnet YouTube channel.
I watched that and I just was like, please don't have my team too much on this. And thankfully it wasn't. There was one though.
Until the end.
Yep.
The game before that.
The only other game that was.
This one's brutal. 7-1 against Colorado.
Good news, we were never winning that game. Never. But Nathan McKinnon was out, so it's like
true.
They don't even have their full team.
Well, I mean, they still had Cale Makar and
they had some
Mikko
good
Rantanen
players, but
and
they had some of
Gabriel
their players out.
Landeskog.
Our team didn't. Our team had our players.
Yeah.
And then the game before that obviously was the Anaheim OT loss, which was really intense and obviously featured the an incident of a ref, dang it, that was not really mentioned too much. Wasn't mentioned, but we'll get into that in a little bit later. Basically...
And then they won.
Yeah,
they had a 6-3 win against Dallas, and then they lost against the Preds.
We're not gonna go back any further than that.
Yeah, that's brutal.
we're gonna leave the rest of this out. What's really sad though to know is that pretty much, like I said, Vancouver's losses have been mostly by either one goal, usually, with a couple 2 goals, and the worst obviously having some 3-goal losses, which are bad.
Or
but
6
that was
goal
the
losses.
worst. Well, I'm talking before this past week.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't been too brutal. Obviously, Buffalo's loss really did not feel good. And that is the only one that I can think of, or that I see that was an actual bad loss. And then this last week happened, and we had the 7-1 loss, the 7-4 loss, the 5-1 loss, and the 4-2.
Yeah.
Our last point was on an OT loss. That was over a week ago.
Woo!
I mean, again, you could put a lot of blame, and I do have, I guess, I kind of mentioned last week as well that I blame the players mainly, and I don't have that same opinion. I really don't anymore. I'm just sad, like I said.
Well, I mean, I blame your defense.
I mean, the defense, yes. The defense, without a doubt, is brutal. The PK and the power play are abysmal. There is no doubting. Literally, I forget. It was Vegas's game where I saw the penalty flash up and went, okay, well, it's 5-4 now.
Yeah, basically. They might as well
because
just add the goal
there is no
there.
chance. There's no chance. I don't know what it is. I see a penalty come up. I see a power play for the Canucks come up, and I worry. I shouldn't have to do that. I shouldn't worry when my team is on the power play. I shouldn't have to. And again, the PK brings even more worry because it means, oh, so basically it's a goal. I hope my team can come back from that.
Yeah, exactly.
It is definitely, without a doubt, someone's getting fired soon. Somebody's getting fired soon in the coach department. And I don't know. There's so much to be sad about with this team because of the fact that I could be sad that the team has good players and is not performing well. By the way, Connor Garland with that 1 goal, thank you for doing something. Appreciate you being there.
Really living up to that new deal.
And then it's great to know that you scored the same game as someone else who's never scored a goal this season yet, and they scored their first goal, Pullman. So it's great to know that you're on the same ranking as that, and Pullman had more points than you that game. So just think about that, Garland. Thank you for that. I don't blame, technically. Garland's just a part of my sadness. We have the good players. We don't have a defense at all. We have the goalies, and their save percentages are now going to be really bad, and it's not necessarily the goalie's fault.
Yeah.
It's not. Demko's going to be ruined.
If you disregarded the Vancouver Canucks season so far and just looked at the save highlights, Demko would be a landslide for the Vezina.
He would be, but the problem is that because the defense is so brutal, he's not going to be able to make those saves every single time. You're talking for Vezina trophy every night saves. And what goalie can do that? Like every goalie, there are phenomenal goalies in the league right now that you have to, and they definitely do not do it every night. I mean, Jack Campbell.
That man.
He kind of ruins that one, doesn't he? But it's because he has a good defense.
Yeah, that's
and
the thing.
Good forward. The team is actually clicking, while mine is not at all. And it is very sad, and I think I'm gonna wrap up even talking about them because I've already talked like 15 minutes on that team. Just know I'm sad. Someone's getting fired. I'm gonna still be with the team, but it's like a tears are shed. Tears are shed. That's it. I'm glad the snow's falling, just like my team in the ranks. Okay, Montreal.
Well, we won a game. We won one game.
What's that?
Yeah,
Never
I know,
heard
right? Let me.
I wonder if my mic cut out.
I'm going to go through our games that we've played recently. Now they're not as abysmal as Vancouver's.
Nobody's.
Not as abysmal. Let me just.
I bet if I were to go to Arizona's, I feel like theirs is better. Oh my gosh, it is.
So, just a couple days ago, we played the Rangers, lost 3-2. Sunday, I don't want to talk about this game, but I'm gonna have to. It's 5-2 loss against Boston. First time we played Boston since before COVID, so that's great. We really, kept up where we left off and just got obliterated. We got beat by the Red Wings in OT 3-2. Then, right after we finished recording the first episode, we won 4-2 against the Flames. Got some bragging rights on my brother. Then we lost.
Flames is a big team.
They're a big team. But then the game before that, we lost in OT against the Kings. We lost 5-2 against the Golden Knights.
Not a point.
6-2 against the Islanders.
Also not a point.
Beat Detroit 3-0.
How far back are you going now? Hold up.
I just want to show what's happened. I'll run through them really quickly. Lost 4-2 against the Ducks. 5-2 against the Kings. That's when Philip Deneau ruined my life. And and I tweeted at Andrew Berkshire just a photo of him in his Habs Stanley Cup final gear. It's just like, this is what could have been.
Yeah.
Lost against the Sharks. Lost 5-1 against the Seattle Kraken. We're undefeated against Detroit. I'll take that.
Oh, wow. Actually, Detroit's a good team.
They are a good team.
Well,
after that, loss. They're
enough that they're in wild cards.
Loss.
Detroit is, at least.
3 out of our 4 wins are against Detroit. Ooh.
Hey! You guys are going to catch up to my team. I hope you do.
I really feel like, and again, like we talked about last week, no blame on Carey Price for not being in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But we really could have used this guy. I dropped him. Patrick Waugh. Patrick Waugh.
We could have used this guy, drops him on his head. Well,
he's hurt too.
Maybe not.
Let me put this into perspective. So we all know Carey Price opts out of the first month of the season. Perfectly good reasoning. That puts Jake Allen into the starting goalie spot. Mm-hmm. He plays he plays like Jake Allen, which is very bipolar. He had a 40-odd save shutout. That was cool.
Yes, that was awesome.
Second most saves in a shutout in Habs history, and then gets obliterated again.
That's
then he gets stacked and is out of the game. So then our 2 goalies after that are Samuel Montembeault, who we got off waivers when Carey Price opted out, who wasn't even part of our team. And then Caden Primo, who we recalled from Laval. It's
just a rough one out there.
And people Leafs fans complain about their goalie situation this season. And then they look at the standings, they're like, oh, wait. We have Jack Campbell.
I don't know if I hear any Toronto players complaining about Jack Campbell. If anything, they're praising him.
Oh, they were complaining about people under Jack Campbell. Because Peter Mrazek got hurt twice. And then they've had...
Tell it to the standings. Mrazek's been in net.
They had Joseph Wall. for a little bit. They had another guy for a little bit who I can't even remember. But when Jack Campbell was in net, they won. So the thing about us is we don't even have a lot of good players. Our captain's hurt. He might never play again. Carey Price is just starting his return to hockey, so he won't be in net anytime soon.
You know what's really scary to think about suddenly? Is that your team is missing its biggest players. And they're where you'd expect, and mine doesn't.
That's the thing, is that Vancouver's underperforming, or just playing how everybody thought we'd play. Let's be real.
There's some players that Montreal still has, though, that are still good players.
Well, Suzuki and Mike Hoffman have been all right. But like good. They've been playing Jeff Petrie like an absolute pack mule. And
it showed that one game. Yeah, it showed that one Boston game.
It showed that game against Boston when he tried to clear the puck and it hits Charlie Coyle in the face and goes in the net.
Well, that's not really him being tired. That just hurts.
It's just bad. It's just so bad. And people were complaining because they sent Caulfield to the minors for a little bit.
Yep.
Which, I mean, he was struggling, but at the same time, he's like younger than us.
We'll get over it.
He has room to improve. Plus, like
a lot.
How could we do worse at this point? I mean, Arizona could probably answer that question for us.
Watch what you say. Arizona is so much in the hole that, because it's like, let's say that your team were to lose a lot of games.
Just in the Shane Wright sweepstakes right now.
Yeah, Arizona would probably have the same thing. Yeah, Arizona would be in the same position, and it's technically there are still a couple other teams that you don't mention. Obviously, Seattle's where you'd expect. Ottawa is not. I mean, I would expect Ottawa a little bit higher, but last year they also had a tough one. So
yeah,
Ottawa's kind of I'd expect them to be a little bit higher, but come on, you have to have room for the teams that you wouldn't expect to be higher, like Detroit, to be where they are.
Yeah. Now,
and the Rangers as well, actually.
Yeah. Like they
Edmonton,
literally only have Igor Shesterkin.
Yes.
Their only silver lining. Nobody else is playing well.
Yeah. I mean, another one you could put in there as well as Anaheim, which...
Shout out Troy Terry.
Shout out John Gibson.
I saw a meme. I think it was SDPN memes. And it was just like Troy Terry here, and then the rest of the NHL leading scorers. And Troy Terry is just Jesse looking at Steve, just like perfectly content, like nothing's wrong. And Steve's just like, it's so true. Like, I didn't even know who Troy Terry was until I was like, oh, okay.
Never met the man in my life. Oh, there he is.
Nice. And like, once Cole Caulfield, he started actually doing all right in the minors and helped us come back from I say us. I don't really pay attention to Laval that much. But he helped them erase a 5-1 deficit, so that was pretty cool. Switching around on the power plays finally start to click a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, you know what we could use? A nice young player who can actually score." They brought him back. Let's see what happens tonight.
Yes.
That's all I'm thinking.
Big things. I think big things. I hope for big things for your sake. I really do. Because you gotta play the Pens, and they're not. They're not the worst team. They don't have as many games played either.
Plus, when they were severely injured, they faced the Leafs and won 7-1. So
Yeah, that's a sad game though.
That,
That's a sad
that
one.
really
For the
makes
team
my
that
confidence.
right now has, well, for goalie wise, Jack Campbell's on the top for pretty much everything.
Oh, so good. It's
Save
the top
percentage.
3 for save percentage. The top 3 for save percentage is Jack Campbell, James Reimer, and Freddie Anderson. Like the Leafs are just like, really?
Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore. Well,
Bobrovsky's third.
Okay. Bang.
Actually, Campbell and Reimer right now have the same, but goals against Jack Campbell has less.
Oh yeah.
And then Jack Campbell has the most wins, tied with tied with 3 others. Anderson is up there, which is nice. You know what? Anderson being on, he was on the Maple Leafs, but now he's on that, and both the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Carolina Hurricanes are doing well goaltender wise, very well.
You know who's not doing well goalie wise?
The
Arizona Coyotes. The Arizona Coyotes, yeah.
Like Blue, Blanc, and Rugs. Yep.
Blue Blanc and Rugs, yeah. Who even are the Arizona goalies? I know this isn't on our list, but I just want to look at this.
No idea.
Carter Hutton is Arizona's starter, so that really puts into perspective. And then one of their backups is Karel Vejmelka. Let's go with that. Vejmelka. He's Czech and he's not good.
Sure thing.
He's really not good. Like his stats are really bad. But we share a birthday. He's 2 years older than I am. May 25th.
There's the important
Look at
thing. But we share a birthday.
Let's see his actual stats. I heard like a week ago he was absolutely abysmal. Oh yeah. 12 games played. 0 wins, 9 losses, 1 OT loss, at 3.29 goals against average, and an 897 save percentage.
Oh, you know what's really sad is that Demko is 898. That's the goalie, the phenomenal goalie that I talk about a lot and that we mention quite a bit.
Great
with
save.
Those phenomenal saves. His save percentage went quite far down. He was at 918, by the way. 918 before this week. 918. And he dropped down to 898. Thanks, defense.
Ooh. Now
watch out. Your team's really low.
Yeah, I know. Just don't talk to me about it. Now, speaking of, well, I guess we were talking about what happens whenever Demko's in net. But we can talk about your backup because it segues into our next topic.
Well, Demko's also included.
Freaking goalie penalties. There's so many goalie penalties this week.
Okay, that's the Swayman one was kind of funny.
Swayman one was hilarious. Now, to put it in
really funny.
There's a rule in the NHL.
I'm gonna nickname that guy Ron Swanson, by the way. His new name's Swanson. I'm gonna only refer to that guy as Swanson. Swayman.
Okay.
Now Swanson.
But there's a rule where if a goalie plays the puck outside of the crease or this little trapezoid that's painted in the ice behind the net, if he plays the puck outside of that area, it's a 2-minute minor penalty. So Swayman, who's one of the backups for Boston, was in the game, and he had 1 foot outside of the trapezoid, and he played the puck, and he got called for it.
It was really funny. You could see the puck not moving, and he just goes, thunk! Even though McAvoy is clearly going to be able to take the puck, no problem. He's just touch.
So here you go, buddy. Doink.
It's like when you have cookies on the counter, and it's like your mom's like, don't touch the cookies, and you're just like, yoink. Like, don't touch it. Like wet paint, hot stove, yoink. Don't touch it.
Puck outside the trapezoid.
Yoink. It's like this rule has been around for quite some time.
Yeah, it's like 2004.
Please what do you do as a coach at that point? You're just like, I can't. Okay, I've taught my goaltender, or like the goalie coach would be like, I've taught my goaltender everything that needs to be done. I didn't think I would have to tell him, you can't touch the puck outside of that trapezoid.
You may be thinking, anybody listening right now, well, it wasn't really like a huge deal. He just tapped the puck. But the thing about, being out of the zone and playing the puck is that before, you were just considered fair game as goalie. If you want to know what happens to goalies,
well, sometimes when you're in the crease,
just think about right before the pandemic in the Toronto-Carolina game when newly reacquired Kyle Clifford just obliterated Peter Mrazek. Just obliterated him.
Think of you have the Ryan Miller and Milan Lucic.
Yep, that's another one.
That's a pretty famous one.
Like if you don't want a 42-year-old Zamboni driver playing your team in net, then politely teach your starting goalie to not leave the net.
Well, technically, it got them a win, so maybe they should do it more often. Freddie Anderson gets run over next game. I would be like, slow down. I didn't mean it.
That's the whole of it. Then you're facing a team that actually is going to shoot on them.
Yes.
That was one penalty.
That was a penalty that made sense. Okay, that penalty made sense. That's 2 minutes. You can't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Could you feel the tension though? Actually, just before we move on to the next goalie, could you feel the tension?
Yeah.
Like when Swayman, you see that puck going, and you're like, Swayman's not gonna touch it, is he? Dunk.
Yes, he's gonna touch it.
And the ref's just sitting there like, don't you do it? Don't you do it? Don't you do it?
No.
You did it. You did it.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're thinking. Like, I'm staring. like, what's he think? Did you see the way he tapped it? Like, I didn't touch it.
The way he
looked at it's like I understand that last week we talked about how the refs can sometimes be blind or stingy on calls. But the ref's right there. Like, you can't. Don't try it. Like, literally, this is the refs on the high ground. You're on the low ground. Don't try it.
You know what my analogy for this is? It's an episode of SpongeBob. There's an episode of SpongeBob where they're trying to teach Man Ray, one of the villains of the show, to be nice. So Man Ray has Patrick's wallet in his hand. It goes to Patrick. He's like, "This is your wallet." No, it's not. Okay. Is this ID? Is this your ID? Yeah. This says Patrick Star. Yeah. So if this ID is in this wallet, then I should return it to you. Yeah, sounds good to me. So this is your wallet. Never seen it in my life. That's how I feel like the exchange between Swayman and the ref was. It's like, you touched the puck. No. Okay.
My lord.
Your foot was outside of the trapezoid. Yeah. And you saw the puck coming. Yeah. And so you decided to nudge it. You'd like to get the puck to your defenseman. Yeah, sounds right to me. So you touch the puck. No, never heard of it in my life.
Never done it.
Nope.
Never will.
I don't even know what this is. But to provide more pain for you, Matthew, to the other penalties, the goalies. That happened.
My mouth was big enough, I would shove this thing in my mouth and just take it down.
I mean, you could try.
Okay, the fact that I had to mention anything about the refs whatsoever does not help this case. This one in specific. Like, the Demko one, it honestly wasn't as bad. The Demko one wasn't as bad.
Yeah, for anybody who knows, Demko had a delay of game penalty.
Yeah, that one sucked. I didn't want that to happen, obviously.
Yep.
even if it was 100% like definite like delay of game, I obviously still wouldn't want it. But it definitely wasn't as bad. I obviously definitely was just sad about it. The Halak one.
That was brutal. Like I saw the clip on Twitter. And I was just like, wow.
I'm looking for any good refs right now.
Yeah.
Not found any yet.
Where are they?
Oh my land. Again, disclaimer, don't hate the refs. Don't hate the refs. Don't hate the refs. I don't. Disclaimer.
We love them as human beings.
We love them. If they didn't exist, then nothing would be called. At least 1% of things are called. Okay, we don't hate the refs.
Yes.
Someone has to call the goals, the own goals as well.
And the kicks, but that
the
was
Dallas one. The Dallas one is the one I was thinking about. Okay, that's getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll touch on that Dallas goal in a bit, or these dumb own goals like you talked about with Montreal's. But the Halak penalty, I am definitely 100% on the side of that's not a penalty. And there is only one side that I can see that you can argue that it is maybe a penalty, but it's still not enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're cheering for
really?
Anaheim. I don't care if you're cheering for
really?
Anaheim. It doesn't. Even an Anaheim fan's like, what was that? Like, I understand that without the context, you see a foot and you see a pad coming towards that foot, and suddenly he falls over. There was more pointed out, though, that I saw afterwards. And yes, I will mention Steve Dangle did help point this one out. But the kick save, for one thing, and that's the obvious one. He was going for the save because it's Ryan Getzlaf.
Yeah.
You're going to expect a shot. I know he would be more of someone who gets the assist, but he's lethal.
Yeah, he's very lethal.
He's lethal. You see him coming down, you expect a save. And Halak is not someone who just got into the NHL. He's been around for a while.
A long time.
He's been around. So he knows that he needs to try and go for the save. So reactionary-wise, he flings out the pad. And by the ending of it, Getzlaf is on the ice, and there's a penalty. For one thing, a goalie getting a trip that doesn't involve him using his stick is already like, okay, unless he's deliberately trying to stick out his skate to get the trip, you can call it that, sure. It's going to still be questionable if he's using his pad to do it, unless it's very blatant. Then sure. One thing, it wasn't. And again, the excuse that comes in, it's like he accidentally did it. It's like, well then, doesn't matter if it's an accident on purpose. If you trip the guy, then it is tripping. And that's the argument that can be used here. And then you get another peek at Getzlaf. When you see how much contact, was actually made. And you realize he flopped.
Oh,
that was a definite flop. And afterwards, Getzlaf goes over to Halak and talks to him. And it's like, you know what? Ryan Getzlaf is one of the nicest players in the NHL. No question about it. No question. You can go on YouTube. You can search up many, many clips of some of the nice things the guy does. He is a nice player on and off the ice. I think he apologized. I'm not sure why he went over to Halak.
Certain. He said something.
He apologized because Halak went out for the kick save. There was contact, okay? There definitely was contact. But it was not enough. It was... Getzlaf dove. Because you can see the moment that he touches the skate to the moment of where both skates lift off the ice. And it's like... That's not how that works. I can understand if he slips a little bit, obviously. And yeah, that's a part of hockey, right? You got to draw the penalty, the flop.
Yeah.
It worked. And guess what? You obviously know when there's a penalty that happens on the Canucks. Oh, joy. Oh, joy.
Oh,
yeah, so that penalty happened. The ref called it, and I just... My head,
locked in the fetal position.
My head has engraved my desk because of how many times I just
There's a face-shaped dent.
Like, I have lost brain cells both ways now. Just trying to think about how it ended up being a penalty, and the fact that, again, it just sucks. There's no other way around it. The ref's position, I definitely am like, refs, why? Yeah, you just had to do it. Especially for the fact that I had just finished talking about how the refs, that exact, like, technically it happened that the Tuesday before we recorded. didn't it? We just didn't talk about it. No.
No, I think it was after.
No, I think it was because the Ducks, they played them on Tuesday when that happened.
Oh, maybe
because
it
the
was
other game, it was the Ducks. Yeah, it was that one, but we ended up recording before.
Oh, joy.
Just, it's coincidence, definitely, because it happened before I even mentioned the refs. The Demko one just hurts. Demko one just hurts. There is no doubt about it. Demko one hurts. Halak one is just painful. That's the best way to put it. It's painful. I've got nothing else with this. I've got nothing else with this topic. I woke up this morning, chose to look outside, see the snow, chose to have just a decent time, and then I had to obviously get up some stats and stuff to look at my team, and instantly I went, I don't want to do this. Legitimately, I'm looking at everything, just going over some of the stuff, and I went, wow.
Yeah.
My team is in the hole. Bad.
They're doing really bad.
Worst week by far. And I don't think, and I say this being very cautious. Just sec. I know I'm not too crazy on this stuff. I'll knock on wood.
Yeah.
For everyone else's safety. Just that I don't get absolutely crushed in the comments or anything if it turns out it gets worse. I don't think it's going to get worse. I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I mean, if they have a really bad week, then it's going to be just as bad as the week that just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do worse than 0 points. You can't.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no such thing as a -1. So even if they get abysmally scored like 8-1 every game, they got just as many points. So in that regard, it's not going to get any worse. The scores could get worse. And Demko's save percentage is going to probably tank even more if there's something that's not done. Basically, Vancouver's an emergency. Whether or not they say it, they're an emergency. I guarantee the coaches right now are on the, I understand technically the last straw was last week. They're on so much thin ice right now that it probably will crack in this week or the next week. Unless
the fans are literally calling for everybody's job.
Yeah, unless there has to be a miracle happen for the coaches.
Literally, the entire Arena 1 game chanted "Fire Benning" in one of the games.
Oh man, I feel bad for these coaches that are having to. I understand that it's their job, but just as a human, I feel bad. Just morally, I feel awful that. You're like, imagine having your name chanted, fire that guy. It's like, yeah, I feel really good about my life choices. I always knew I wanted to be a hockey coach.
Woo!
No. Again, I'm sad for the team.
Why?
That's all I have to say. And I think after this, I'm just cutting off any more sadness. After this, I'm not talking about the abysmals of my team.
Doesn't talk
too much
anymore.
More. I'm gonna try. No, it doesn't even talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's.
Well, this wasn't on. This topic wasn't on the list, but I was just scrolling through Twitter while you were going through that second Vancouver Canucks rant.
Second midlife crisis of the episode.
Basically, yeah. And this kind of goes along with our talk about refs. I guess last episode and just then.
The last 3 years.
One of the most outspoken people on how the NHL just doesn't call stuff anymore. Was the best player in the game, Connor McDavid. He talks about basically if you watch him like when he first came into the league versus to him now, when you see him skate, it's just elbows. Up and up. So if you even try and hug him, you're getting an elbow in the chin.
You're like, I love you as a player. Don't.
They're so cool to play against you. Bop, concussion. Because nobody's calling anything against him. He got absolutely obliterated.
The Crosby thing when
year.
He suplexed the guy or whatever.
He like judo flips the guy. Because he was just slowly not holding him. He was really close.
That was,
he might as well have been holding.
I don't even know what would you call it. That's a definite penalty. That's manhandling. That's gotta be a penalty, right? And
he just grabs him and just throws him head contact into the boards. And I don't even know if he got a penalty. I'm not sure.
No, he didn't. He didn't. There was no hand raised. There was no penalty. It's like, I mean, I don't even know what you call it. You can call that holding. You can call it interference, manhandling. I don't care if that's not a penalty. Roughing. I wouldn't call it head contact because he put his head into the boards. It wasn't Crosby that put his head into the boards, or else you're gonna have a little Pavelski problem, which ended Vegas' run that year.
Yeah.
Even though his head did make contact with the ice.
But yeah, like he was outspoken about the lack of calls. So ESPN decides to ask John Tortorella about Connor McDavid and how he's outspoken about the calls. And I'll try and find the interview for Matt to put in the comments, just so you can get the full 6-minute segment. But they ask him about, him talking about not getting calls. He's like, yeah, he's talking about not getting calls, and when it comes to playoffs, you might as well just shut up. and goes on about how Connor McDavid, in his opinion, should change his game to more accommodate playoff hockey, which is absolutely absurd because he's the best player in the game, and if they would call what should be called, then he wouldn't be saying anything. But they interviewed.
It's not
Connor.
even playoff hockey yet.
Yeah,
like
it's only 15 games in.
Playoffs, you can get away with more stuff. I mean, if it's head contact whatsoever, just that's
for Connor McDavid and Sidney Crosby, all he stars in the playoffs. There's people almost hanging off them at every waking moment. So I get
just
why
he's
to receive the angry.
Puck. Just like, I should have my hockey stick over. That could be like cross-check time.
I'm
Santa Claus. I'm making a list. I'm checking it twice. I'm about to find out if you're gonna get speared or not.
Basically, so they interviewed.
No wonder why they get dirty.
Yeah, they interviewed McDavid after the last game and talked about his comments. And he's just like, I guess I gotta shut up about this. Just right in the middle of the scrum. Oh my goodness. There's kicks, there's roughings, there's trips, there's every call in the game not getting booked, and it's ridiculous.
Because
they're getting paid to call the rule book, but they're just not calling the rule book.
It's like over the last few years, it was playoffs that got really bad for calls, but pretty much the regular season wasn't too bad. But slowly but surely every year,
it's just getting worse.
The playoff calls are slowly drifting their way into the regular season until this season. Oh, look at that. You see that in the sky? What's flying over there? Is that my whistle? It's like all of a sudden it flies down just in time for you to blow goal. Basically. And then it goes off again. You don't even need to use your hand. You're just trying to go. You're just in the sky at some moment I'll be able to catch this. Tweet goal. But he jabbed it out of the goalie's hand. No, it's still a goal.
He literally pushed the goalie into that goal.
Remember?
He literally...
What was it? We didn't talk about it, but what play was it when the goalie had his glove on the puck and they completely chopped the puck right out and put it in, and they can't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's the whistle came down just in time for them to blow goal.
Oh, they just taekwondo kicked the puck into the net. Goal.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Basically, has a guy holding it just to keep it steady.
At least this week, the only thing that happened with anything that involved footwork was just really sick goals or passes. Pretty much. Nothing bad this week. And I can't even say good job refs because no one did it. No one did any.
No, if they never, if they don't call anything, at least they're not making bad calls.
Yeah, I mean,
if they just don't call a single one at all.
What's worse? Well, actually, that's a lie because they called the goalie interference.
Yeah, that's true.
I talked about it again. Whoops. Oh well. Okay.
Oh my. Now, the last, and we're gonna be doing another new segment. We've been talking about regular sports. Now we're gonna talk about esports, which arguably Matt actually has more prowess in.
I have a lot more. What are you giving away? The fact that if you look on this side of my table, there's a stinking gaming mat with the keyboard and mouse.
Yeah,
does the headset give it away?
A pro gamer,
bro. I any type of pro that I could have tried to take around that avenue, it has completely changed. It is changed now.
So just to refresh the people, what are you playing right now?
What am I playing? There is for once in gaming, after what's been forever, there is options.
There is options.
There is a lot of options. I like how we're a hockey. We're supposed to be primary hockey, and it's like video games.
Well, I mean, it's a new avenue that I know I will be pursuing at some point.
Yes, I enjoy. It's basically in my free time, because hockey is no longer my free. I'll be straight up honest. The NHL right now, with how my team is doing, it's not my free time. It's not. Mostly when I'm doing it, it's spent grueling. It's like, you know how you're supposed to have periods of rest where it's like, okay, now it's time to rest. Easy. Yeah, I can't do that with hockey anymore. I can't anymore. Unless something, even if my team does well, I won't be able to even though. But usually I like to relax now, and that's where the gaming comes into play. Definitely by far with all the games that have kind of been getting ripped on, there is one spark that has just been such a joy. Halo Infinite. Literally, out of all the AAA games that have been released or being released or in their beta form, because technically Halo is in beta.
Yeah.
Halo is by far my favorite right now, without a doubt. It is the only game where I am on right now. It's one of the only ones that I'm actually enjoying that I can play casually. That has been my biggest gripe, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much when you're playing anything FPS-wise, not even FPS, it doesn't matter. It's
not
any genre.
It's not very casual.
No, there is no such thing as casual. And the problem is that on console, you can get more casual. I'm PC. There is no casuals on PC, and it is the most disheartening thing because usually when I like to jump on, I'm jumping on to take a break, to relax, to kind of like just take it easy. And within 10 seconds, I'm like just like absolutely losing my mind. Like, I can't do it unless I lean right in with the chair. I need my gamer fuel car. Like my eyes are wide open, sweat's just dripping down. I'm like, I died. I can't believe it. I'm doing my KD's like 10-5, and I'm like, I can't handle it. It's not good enough. I'm getting slaughtered. I'm kidding. I don't go 10-5 right now. Like, if I ever jump onto that stuff, it's one game's positive, one game's really bad.
Yeah.
And that was the problem, especially with all of it. And it's the main reason why I've been enjoying Halo. It's the first game in, I'm talking years. It is the first game where I'm able to actually play online against other people, and I'm not having to sweat like crazy.
Okay, yeah.
Because, okay, if I list off all the games that I have been a part of or that I've played, it's not a good thing. It's not good when you realize that I've played a lot of sweaty games. I've been a part of the Counter-Strike, COD when it got bad, and COD is still pretty bad at sweats in multiplayer, but that's skill-based matchmaking. That's another talk for another day. You've got other games as well. Rocket League I enjoyed. That is a sweat fest in a half.
Yes.
You got Valorant. Like literally Counter-Strike and Valorant, they're meant to be competitive. So obviously, if you're going on that game,
for people who don't know video games, when he says a sweat fest or a lot of sweaty things, that's just slang term for people finding exploits in the game and just using them over and over and over again.
They're the type of guys. Yeah, they'll go for the highest. Video gaming is not relaxing. It is life. It is. I'm going to do the best I can, and I am going to. Literally, it's like that. I'm going to lean in my chair. I'm going to have the optimal setting so that I have the most frames per second, so that I have the best refresh rate. And I am going to make everyone else lose. And if I at all die once, then it's their fault. Not, oh, my land.
Yeah,
it's not my fault.
Like, for example, for like NHL or like FIFA, like for NHL, the main exploit is cross crease passes.
Anything one-timer-wise, yeah.
Or even one-timers, but especially the cross crease passes.
Yes.
Because the goalies just can't move that fast, no matter if it's...
Unless you turn up the speed.
That is true.
But then the game can't handle the speed. And so it's really funny, actually. If you have never played NHL on a higher speed than what it's supposed to, I'm talking every player gets it, even that CPU, it is hilarious because they don't know how to stop. And so they'll run right into the boards. And because now there's a collision on boards, they'll run right in and just collide with the boards and lose the puck. But the CPU,
that's great.
They have no idea what to do. So, like, let's say it's not an icing and it goes into your zone, into the boards. And it's a foot race between two CPU on the opposite team. They'll both run right into the boards where the puck is, smash into the boards, and then just kind of fall fall all around and tumble their way over. So you have to actually, it's really fun to play. It is ridiculous, very fun, and it makes the game seem so fast-paced, but yet so slow-paced. But NHL is definitely a game that I usually play with some of the family and friends around here. We'll play kind of on the console, because I do have console. I do play console. But what's really sad is that before Infinite, and I'm about to mention a game that is most notably sweaty, and it's really sad, I actually would play this game to avoid the sweats. Rainbow Six Siege.
Really?
That is a competitive shooter, and I would play quick match just to avoid the sweat of everything else.
Okay.
It was really brutal, but right now, Infinite is the spotlight game. And I think it's out of every game right now, out of all the AAA releases that have been going around, Infinite is taking the spotlight by storm. No question. Right now, it is the only one that is a free-to-play multiplayer, while Battlefield 2042 and COD Vanguard's a mess, but Battlefield 2042 is also a mess. They're both like $80, $70, $80. While Halo's multiplayer is Zippo.
They did have Warzone for free for the last one, right?
Warzone's still free.
Okay, yeah.
And it's still kicking, but I'll be honest, I'm sick of VR. I'm sick of Battle Royale games.
Yeah, those really got abused the last couple years.
Yeah, I mean, it can be fun, but it's mostly a sweat fest, which is why I stay away from. Pretty much in gaming, I stay away from anything sweaty. I usually play now strategy or Halo. So like Oxygen not included, if you've heard of it.
And I need to get you into Pokemon.
I play a lot of Star Wars games too.
Well,
both the old and the new Battlefront 2. Obviously,
you
there's
guys
one
couldn't
game
tell
specific. What? I don't like Star Wars at all. I don't know what I'm more of a fan of, in all honesty, Star Wars or hockey. I think hockey is more. Because I'd rather play hockey. I'd rather play hockey. I'd rather watch hockey than watch Star Wars. I just hurt every Star Wars fan, I think. I just made people really mad. Did you just hear someone scream? No. I think I just heard someone scream. Like, all of a sudden the prequel memers pop up. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly.
But Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is a grind. I hate and love that game.
Well, you put so much time into that game. Like, to put
no money
into perspective,
no money
no money. But like, when did you first pick it up? It's been a while.
2016 2017.
Oh.
It was I think it was in first year of college.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I am not even close to being anywhere really compared to what there is. I mean, I should watch about talking about Galaxy of Heroes because of the fact that that is a conversation for itself. And if you don't know the game, please do not get it unless you love Star Wars. If you do not love Star Wars and you do not love video games, stay away from it.
Yeah.
But get Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
I love that game. Halo Infinite's the game right now.
Not sponsored, but if you want to sponsor us.
Halo. Yeah. 343 Industries. Yeah. Stinking big company.
Xbox, hit us up.
Gotta watch out. I mean, what have you've been playing like FIFA or like whatever. Not
I've been
FIFA.
playing a little bit of FIFA. I've been playing more Minecraft casually. I forgot about that. I've been playing that too. I have a pretty good survival world right now, just so you know. I'll show you some. I got some images saved on my phone.
We'll flash up images on here, and it's gonna be like, I have diamond sword sharpness 3. I have iron axe looting 4. Looting 4
doesn't even exist.
And then it's like I have bow power 2, flame 1.
It's like those hacked
your armor's like
modded games where it's just like I have sharpness 34.
Sharpness 34. Yes.
But the games that I'm playing the most are because it literally doesn't cost me anything because I can totally legally get ROMs online. Are Pokemon games. And
well,
not only
can get emulators.
Yeah, like I have emulators on my phone and my tablet. And I have a randomizer on my home computer, which can take any game from generations 1 through 5 and randomize pretty much everything you want. So the Pokemon are randomized, the trainers Pokemon are randomized. You can randomize the types, the moves, the items in the world. So it makes it either super easy or super hard, and it's completely by chance.
Yes.
And then I have these self-imposed rules that I've already had this conversation once with Matt.
It was a while ago though.
It was a while ago. So I'll do a quick refresher. Or they're called Nuzlocks. Yay. It's like hard mode, and they're self-imposed rules. So usually in a Pokemon
he's the sweat.
game,
he's the sweat in games right now. He's more of a sweat than I am.
You have to in these modes, or else you'll get absolutely obliterated.
I still can have a big PC, and you're the sweat. What the? I guess this is your PC now, man. Sorry, I guess I just lost my PC.
Thank you. Just cover shipping and handling.
I'm kidding.
But say like it's so for people who don't know the games, they're like an RPG game where you catch Pokemon, raise them, and when they grow up stronger, they evolve. And if your HP
if they don't know the
Pokemon
0, games, they probably don't know Pokemon.
Well, I'm not exactly.
So when you say when they catch Pokemon,
they're animals in the world that have different typings and special abilities that you use to fight.
They're super animals. It's stinking.
Basically.
What is that dog? Oh my land. Crypto. They're basically a bunch of Crypto. Crypto the dog. Anyone that's a Superman fan just went, ah!
Like Pikachu's an electric mouse, and Growlithe is a fire dog, and then there's legendary Pokemon, which are basically gods. Usually every game has one that corresponds on the box art. Lowercase g.
Lowercase g is in Goomba.
Basically, you use Pokeballs, you catch them, you raise them up to be stronger, and then you fight gyms to get badges, and then you fight the Elite Four, and then there's a champion. At the end, you beat them, you become the champion, you beat the game. Anyway,
He becomes the master of champions.
He becomes a Pokemon master.
I'm the Pokemon master. Bow before me. I am your lord now.
Older than like 12.
Yes, sir. Oh, sorry.
You're an absolute child.
Sir. I can't. I'm trying to get through sec. I don't know how to do a squeaker voice. I'll just do a crack voice with the lisp. I don't think I could do that. I'll just do Mickey Mouse's voice.
Yeah. So basically, the self-imposed rules are usually when your Pokemon's HP runs down to 0, it just says it faints, and then you have to take it to a Pokemon Center to heal it, and you can use it again.
PG. Got it.
In a Nuzlocke, if it faints, you have to consider it dead and either put it in a PC or just straight up release it. So if your Pokemon
release a fainted Pokemon,
it's basically dead. You have to nickname every Pokemon you catch, so you grow attached to them. And you can only catch the first Pokemon you can or any trade.
Time out. Just the Nuzlocke edition. It's so that you don't physically... I want your heart. I want you to be emotionally scarred by the...
You're exaggerating it, but it's true.
Hardcore. That's more than hardcore. That's like saying, okay, in NHL, I'm going to name a player, and I'm going to put everything I can into this guy. So if he gets a life-ending injury in this game, I am crushed. Like that's not even. It's even worse. It's like I'm going to grow it. Okay, here you go. You ready for it? It's like this. You ready? It's like this. Oh. I'm going to physically attach myself to an animal that I love so that eventually when they die, I will be absolutely saddened. By the way, this cat is dead. There, I made sure that any animal lovers just get absolutely...
the cat, I was like, oh god, he's using the dead cat emoji.
The dead cat emoji. No, that is my only cat I ever owned. My only cat that I truly love. She was mine. She is gone. So she passed on. But I just had to make sure. Now they understand. If they didn't understand, who cares about a video game of Pokemon? I just brought a real life animal that is dead now. That was my animal that died. And there was nothing I can do when it died. There was nothing I could do when she died. Nothing I could have solved. And I wasn't even there when she died. There we go. Did I just pull on some heartstrings? I just did, right? There was nothing I could have done to save her. Does that help? It's actually a true story. Okay, moving on.
Back to my discussion.
I made sure that now they're emotionally connected. Except for everyone in the comments that would go, haha, can't go brr.
Oh my gosh.
She wasn't hit by a car. The brr.
Oh goodness. So anyway, as I was saying,
the gong show started.
Yeah, exactly. So when you randomize the ROM, you don't have to have them randomized to do a Nuzlocke, but it makes it even harder if they're randomized. Mm-hmm. So whenever I play a Pokemon game, I randomize the wild Pokemon. I randomize the starters. I randomize the trainers Pokemon, and then I randomize the items. So like you could walk into the first little item that pops up. For an example, in Fire Red or just Red in the first generation, there's an item in the right next to the first town. I believe it's just a potion. I may be wrong. Don't fact check me on that. And
everyone in the Pokemon chats, it's not true. It's actually a potion.
It's actually an X attack.
No, it's a potion of health. I don't want to actually type on this thing. Oh, I know what I can do. So, like,
when you randomize it, it might turn...
It's actually not true.
What are you scratching? Oh, it's another keyboard. Okay. But yeah, like, the random potion or whatever the first item is could be randomized to a Master Ball, which is a Pokeball that you can use to catch any Pokemon without fail. So, like, any Pokemon have different catch rates. Some are easier to catch than others. And there's different types of Pokeballs that make it easier in certain conditions. So your first item could be a Master Ball, or it could be a berry that's literally useless.
You know what I want? I want a Rattata.
Or
that's
a type of mail that, again,
just
is useless.
Just a Rattata. Or a
Weevil. You go to the first route, you could have a Rattata, or you could have Mewtwo.
Yeah.
And you never know.
And you will die.
When everything's randomized, you can get a starter that's absolutely garbage, or you get a legendary. So things get either super easy or super hard. I've only won 3 in my lifetime.
How long
One
have you been playing for?
Was a couple days ago. I've been playing these games since high school. I'm 23, so I've been playing these for arguably probably 10 years.
Bro, and I've just maybe think of one more game we'll talk about before we after you're done. I got one more game I'll talk about and then be done the video game talk.
And one of them was just recent. It was just a few days ago. I beat Fire Red.
Big plays.
2 of my Pokemon in my team were just what we call death fodder, which we just throw in to take a hit so we can heal our Pokemon, and they just die. And we're just like, well, my good one's healed now.
What was their names?
Oh, I could probably pull it up. I could pull up the save file right now.
Who did you kill? Whose family member did you kill? How much pot did you smoke?
I'll pull it up. I just gotta find my emulator. I play these on my phone.
Ah, he missed it, or he didn't pay attention.
I never heard it at all. No.
I said, how much pot did you smoke?
Okay, load. Okay.
What color were they?
So, the Pokemon I killed.
Willingly killed, by the way, that he was attached to.
Now, in my actual party, I only killed 2 out of 6. So I twigs the Grovyle. He
literally led them to the slaughter. Their sole purpose was to die.
So I could heal my strong ones. So Twigs the Grovyle died. And then my starter Piloswine
Twigs
died.
got snapped, didn't he? And
my starter Piloswine that for some reason I never named. Don't ask me why.
So he already cheated, so it doesn't count.
Technically, yeah, but he died anyway.
No, it doesn't count. You didn't grow. That's your starter. Usually you grow attached to the starter.
I ended up getting... Well, it's because he can evolve in this generation. There is an evolved form, but usually when you grow them up and they evolve, you get more attached to them.
What is this? Bro, hold up. Is this evolution all of a sudden? The weak shall perish.
Basically, I have... And this is an ode to Jaden Animations. I have a Blaziken that I caught called Teriyaki. I got pretty close to the end of the game. One of the last ones I caught. I caught 3 legendaries. This is one of the big reasons why I won. I caught Sly the Celebi, who was... This is a clutch moment. This is gonna only take a minute or two to explain.
Wow.
I was trying to catch this Pokemon, and I didn't know that it had a move called Perish Song, which uses Perish Song, and then there's 3 turns before it and the Pokemon it's facing will just die. And the thing is, if you switch out your Pokemon, then yours is fine. But then the other Pokemon is still going to die. So when I saw Perish Song, I guess I'm switching out, and I had one of my other legendaries, which is a Registeel, out that I called Titan, because it's literally the Titan Pokemon. It's the original name.
Okay.
But the Celebi has an ability. Pokemon have different abilities, which some are like it boosts physical moves. Or in this case, it prevents you from switching out. So I'm all of a sudden it's like at half health. It has no status conditions. Usually when you catch Pokemon, if they're weaker and they have status conditions, it makes them easier to catch. So it's at half health. My Registeel's doing no damage. And I basically have 3 chances to catch this Pokemon. And legendaries are incredibly hard to catch. So I throw a ball. It doesn't shake. 1 turn goes. You can only throw 1 Pokeball per turn.
Yeah. Exactly.
So then it does a move. I can't remember what it was.
The death
doesn't
move.
work. And then I throw another ball. Doesn't shake at all. Comes out again. And I have one chance, Matthew, to catch this Pokemon.
One chance, one opportunity.
To seize everything you ever wanted. You're going to capture it or let it slip.
Seize everything you wanted.
So I have one turn left. It's in yellow health, no status conditions. And I throw an Ultra Ball, which is the best catch rate out of regular Pokeballs that isn't affected over different conditions in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
Shakes once. Shakes twice. Shakes 3 times.
Oh, the tension.
Fun fact, if it shakes 3 times, it can still break out.
Yes.
But it didn't break out. So I clutched it on the last ball.
I didn't
never
see that
lost
coming.
any Pokemon.
Wow.
Sly, the Celebi, was key in my run. My 2 key Pokemon were Celebi, because I used Parasong.
I would consider your starter to be very very necessary because Bantha fodder apparently.
It was really key for the first 6 gyms, but then after I caught Leviathan the Kyogre, which is the main legendary of Pokemon Sapphire, which is a game that came out in 2004 or 3 or even 2. It's one of the...
I think 1.
It's got really great stats. So, it's HP... for a good Pokemon, if you have Pokemon with stats in the 100s, it's a really good Pokemon.
Average.
It's HP 187, attack is 142, defense is 124, special attack is 185, special defense is 191, and speed is 117. So this literal...
my Kylo Ren outruns
sea behemoth is one of the most strongest Pokemon in the game. It's one of the most bulky ones, and it has an ability that slightly reduces its accuracy to make it stronger.
So
it has a boost in strength. I just obliterated everything.
Pokemon chunky?
I'm so obsessed with this, and I use that.
Your run's over. Besides a couple
Pokemon that Leviathan was weak against, the different typings. I think one was Grass type. And I couldn't really do much besides Ice Beam, but I had run out of Ice Beam moves at that point. Yeah. I switched to Celebi, used Parasong, switched back out 3 turns, stalled it, and it died. But besides that, I used Leviathan for everything. It was my one ticket to a free win.
Yes.
And I've done 2 Nuzlocke since then, and I've lost very early.
Well, that sucks.
I caught a shiny Pokemon in my Platinum one.
Because that's the thing is that actually in this version, I know in regular Pokemon, you really can't end. But with the Nuzlocke, when all your Pokemon have fainted, you've lost your run.
You've lost your run. You have to either start over or make a new run.
We never did mention that with people that didn't understand that rule.
If all 6 of your Pokemon faint, you're done.
You're done. If you don't have a living Pokemon, then it's over.
Some people will use Pokemon in the PC. That's a rule that's debatable. You can switch that around if you're doing a really hard run.
It's not debatable.
Mine was just a regular Nuzlocke, so I don't do that.
Yeah, I'm too pro. I just forgot to name my starter Pokemon the entire game.
Well, the name raider is 4 badges in, and I was just what's the point?
Is there a rule that if you lose a Pokemon, you don't get to replace it, right? Do you get to replace it?
If you don't white out in battle, which means you don't lose all of your Pokemon in your party, you can replace it at the end, as long as you beat the battle and you have Pokemon in the PC, or you could catch them.
Really? I didn't know that. I thought maybe it's really hardcore. But if you get swept,
you're done.
Maybe it's a really hardcore edition where if you lose a Pokemon, you don't get to replace it. And so you have to live with the 5.
I've heard of somebody doing that once or twice, but it's not a popular
really
rule.
Hardcore. That's hardcore. That's Dark Souls speedrun any speedrun on the hardest difficulty.
I'll quickly speed up and go to a Pokemon Center and show you all the Mons that have died. Because before I had Kyogre,
wait, what did you call them?
It was bad.
What did you call them?
It was really bad. There's a Pokemon
Did you call them
Center
the Mons? Did you call them the Yaman?
Yeah, Mons. It's just short.
The Mons. Yamans.
It's perfectly good slang for the game. I'll show you the ones. Okay.
Yeah, man. Oh, we gotta go to the grocery store, man. We gotta pick up the Pokemon. I'm losing it over here.
Now,
when you said
I
that
had
again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11, 12, 13, 14. I had 15 other ones in my not dead box. So if
Any
I lost
that you regret
couple,
losing?
Oh yeah.
Any that made you really sad? Doesn't mean they're good or not.
Oh yeah.
What was the one that maybe hit you the most? What was your Sasha?
Was that your name?
That's the name of my cat.
It was probably either I had a Swampert, which is really good because it's a water type but doesn't get affected by electric types because it's also ground type, and ground types are immune to electric moves. So it's water ground. So it removes
one of us knows Pokemon way more than the other, and I want you to try and figure out which one of us knows Pokemon way more. I know it's gonna be difficult to figure out who's the one who plays Pokemon way more. But ground level, terrible. I'm like, what does that mean? He's made up of, he's got rubber in him, and he isn't made of copper.
So he was one. He was named Bayou. The bayous in Louisiana because swamp water.
No, you're just already you're like, I know at some point I'm gonna lose this Pokemon, so Bayou, like come on.
Basically. And
like
another one. Another one is called Ava. It's an Ampharos. It's an electric type Pokemon that evolves from a sheep. I don't know what exact type of animal it is in its final form, but it's a really good electric type. It was level 39. I lost it in the 8th and final gym. I was so mad because I wanted to use it so bad in the Elite Four. I had a Ludicolo that was really good that I named. Good lord, if I can. I'm just going to turn speed up off really quickly so I can actually run it. Ludicolo named Julian because he reminds me of King Julian from Madagascar.
I'm King Julian!
My Ampharos is named Ava off of a friend I know on Discord. And Pompeii the Camerupt, which is literally a super fat camel with
You're just asking for
volcanoes
that one
humps.
to die? If you name it Pompeii, obviously it's not going to make it.
It died early. It was only level 13.
Yeah, what it died by a fire attack?
I had a Hitmonchan, which is
probably died by a fire attack.
There was just some that I lost that were really, they were a bummer.
You hear the voice crack when he's like, there are some that I lost. Like he's broken about this. They were family. It's like, bro, Fast and Furious Pokemon Edition. We're family.
You know what's hilarious? I wouldn't be surprised if somebody hacked one of the games and made it Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
There's so many weird
there
things.
are jokes that will not be crossed.
Pokemon Brown, remember that one? That's real.
and 10 years ago, the greatest game was created, and that game was Pokemon Brown. If anyone knows what that's off of, good luck. I am not gonna say what it is. I know Pokemon Brown was made.
It's not that good.
Pokemon Brown was made over 10 years ago, but the video when it came out, it was a decade. Like, there's a specific video where that came in, and that is one of the funniest things that I have actually watched. All right.
Anyway, that's enough about Pokemon.
Okay, I will mention for a little bit one more game, and then we'll have to end it because, wouldn't you know it, I'm going to have to do a couple more cutting. Yes, I love doing this editing. Last one, you guys don't realize, before we actually get into it, you guys don't realize how much I had to cut out. You don't know. The expedition on the Montreal Canadiens that Cakes went on, I had to cut out quite a bit of it. I had to cut out a few of my stuff, but man, That was hard. Okay. A lot of it actually, there was quite a bit that stayed in, but just the stuff that really, just the filler. A lot of my stuff got cut out too, though. So we just took way too long. Okay. There is one game that was announced. Obviously, Star Wars, big deal happened last year when EA lost exclusivity rights. Obviously, Lego Star Wars was still able to make their Star Wars games, and definitely the best-selling version of them all. But EA lost their exclusivity, which meant that other companies could make these Star Wars games. And if you already know what I'm talking about, then anyone listening, if you already know what I'm talking about, then you're probably just excited as I am for it. But there are a few games that hit my top list of games. I have a few. Most of them are Star Wars when it comes to like my favorite games of all time. A lot of them are Star Wars. But when Aspyr, the company, announces that there is a KOTOR remake, Knights of the Old Republic remake, I'm not sure about this. I might have died and went to heaven. I'm not sure because I thought it was a myth until I saw the trailer. Seeing Darth Revan on that screen, I was stoked. There is no doubt about it. I am stoked for that. Knights of the Old Republic remake coming in. If you mess this up, Aspyr, I will be very ticked. I don't think you will, because Aspyr, the reason they were the ones that ported Knights of the Old Republic to iOS. They're the ones that ported it over, so they've already dealt with Knights of the Old Republic. But this is a remake where there could be different stuff, updated graphics. The graphics are definitely not the greatest. Dialogue, I really didn't have a problem with. I have replayed KOTOR, the first one, recently over, and I'm actually doing it again before the new one comes out, or the remake, which could have updated stuff. I don't think they're going to mess it up. I don't. I'm worried. Especially with the movies. The movies one, I'm deathly scared. Like,
oh man. When they end up pulling the trigger on the KOTOR movies,
I am terrified because the TV shows have been pretty good. Bad Batch obviously was not as received as like season 7. I like Bad Batch. Mandalorian, top tier, and then Book of Boba Fett, all that. I'm scared when it comes to the movies though, because the last good movie, this is my opinion, it's opinionated, it's not fact. The last one that I liked was Rogue One.
Well, I mean,
that came after Force Awakens. I didn't mind Force Awakens. I will be honest. This is a topic that we have to watch out because this is a whole other topic, which is why I'm cutting it and just leaving a little bit. I didn't mind Force Awakens, but Rogue One was my last one that I actually enjoyed. And so I am so worried if it's going to be a movie that KOTOR becomes and not a TV show. If it's a TV show, I'm not as scared, especially if Dave Filoni is involved. Dave Filoni, please send it.
Oh, that man is.
If it's, yes, he is just another tier above. He is literally George Lucas 2.0. He is. He just is. He's really good. He's really good. But if it's a TV show, I will have so much more hope than... And that's what the Resistance and the Rebellion relies on, hope. At least the clones had it right. Do you think that's what they should have done that for the... They should have done that for the CIS, the Separatists. We live off hope.
I cannot wait. I know you're trying to cut this, but I just want to say I cannot wait for the Kenobi series. You do not realize how hyped I am for that series.
Boom. Yes. I am
so much
ready.
Yes. And then Hayden Christensen got announced for Ahsoka.
Yes.
That series too, which is going to be great. I don't know if that's going to be a prequel.
Okay, so basically it means that next week is going to be Star Wars talk or Disney talk.
Oh, it will. I'm adding it to the list.
Marvel. Maybe you'll hit Marvel stuff because I am not very well versed in Marvel, so that would be you that has to take
we can hit those for the last topic for next week. Yeah.
All right, so look forward for next week being Star Wars at some point, even though we are a sports hockey channel.
We'll focus on hockey, and the last topic will be like whatever I can think of for a cool topic.
Yeah. We definitely had some fun with some video game talk, and some just Star Wars talk a little bit at the ending. But that'll prelude for the next week one. Hockey, just know we're both sad. We're both very sad.
We are
very sad, and I'm not excited for I'm scared. I am worried of this season. But I know that the team has the ability to do something. I feel bad for them because they're the ones that have to live the nightmare of being in the position of having the team but not doing well. What are you pulling up? Oh, I thought you were going to pull up something, and I was like, don't you dare.
Well, I should.
Yeah. Then the Canadians in the predicament. Patrick Waugh.
Sometimes all I think about is you.
You think about a vinyl? Think about a pop? Kind of weird. Okay, well, I mean, thank you all for tuning in, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check socials. We got Instagram for this podcast, The Unhealthy Scratches. I forget what it is off the top of my head. Cakes, what is it called?
It is, I'm pretty sure it's Unhealthy Scratches.
Oh, wow, right to the T.
I'm pretty sure it's just the podcast name.
Yeah,
I know
and then
in Twitter it's Scratches Cast.
Scratches Cast, yes. And then also on Instagram we have Cakes Plug.
It's cakesnick. CAKESNICK.
It's
same
the same
as Twitter.
Thing on Twitter, and then you got Can't Get Enux. I can now get Enux. I've had enough of Enux. I've had enough. I've had Enux. But Can't Get Enux on Twitter, Cakesnick on Twitter, Scratches Cast, Unhealthy Scratches, and Cakesnick on Instagram. Also the YouTube channel and Spotify. Thank you all so much for watching. Do you have anything to say, Cakes?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever time that you see this or listen to it. And we'll catch you on the next one. Scratch out! I had nothing. I didn't know. I'm like, scratch out. We'll think of something, actually. We'll think of a better outro phrase for next time. Yeah. But Unhealthy Scratches, signing off.